Hello there, I'm delighted you could join me. My name's Shaun Finegan, I'm a volunteer at the National Paralympic Heritage Trust. And today I've got an item from our collection which is the Paralympic Torch from the Paralympic Winter Games that were held in Sochi in Russia. It actually says on it Sochi, and the design is unique to this games. Every games has a different design. This design is supposed to represent the feather of a bird, and it's a magical bird. It's one that all Russian children would actually recognise instantly, and it's from the firebird, which is also known as a phoenix, and it's in fairy tales and folklore. So all these stories would have been told to children about the magical bird. And the magical bird brings much happiness and also good fortune, which is great when you're talking about a Winter Paralympic Games. There were two designs for the torch. This one is actually the Paralympic torch, it's in blue, and the exact same design, but actually where this is blue it would be red, was for the Winter Olympic Games. There were three torch processions. So the first one was the actual Olympic torch, which started off in Olympia, as normally happens in Greece, and then was paraded around Russia, and then eventually lit the flame at the Olympic Games. Separate to that, there was the Paralympic torch, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And the other one was one that just represented Sochi itself. Russia's such a big country, and they wanted to make a real extravaganza out of this. So that torch was actually lit by one of the Olympic torches. It then went from Russia right up to the North Pole. It came back from the North Pole and then went into a rocket, which is quite unusual. So this is a Soyuz rocket taking off. These are the astronauts when it returned, but it was actually taken to the International Space Centre. And obviously it couldn't be lit up in space because lights won't work in space. They probably would work in the Space Centre itself, but you probably wouldn't want to risk lighting something there. And then they did a moonwalk outside of the Space Centre, and here you can see them actually swapping over the torch, and here you can see the Earth and the actual astronaut outside. Once it had returned to Earth on 11th of November 2013, it then went up the highest mountain in Europe, called Mount Elbrus, I think it's called, Elbrus. And then it went down the deepest lake in the world using special pyrotechnics. The deepest lake in the world is in Siberia, called Lake Baikal. I'm having to look at my notes because these are quite unusual words for me. The exciting thing for the Paralympics was that in 2014 it was the first time that the Paralympic Heritage Flame was actually started here in Stoke Mandeville, the birthplace of the Paralympics. And the Winter Paralympic Flame was lit using a special device that had been created called an armillary. And it was a number of circles that had got stars and planets on them, and it's actually spun round. The person here is Hannah Cockcroft, and Hannah actually was one of the Summer Paralympians. She wins the World Championships with 100 metres, 200 metres, 800 metres, 1500 metres. She's absolutely fabulous. But what she did is that she actually used the power of her wheelchair to drive this around, which created sparks, which generated the flame for the Paralympic torch. It was then, from there it was taken by a lady called Kaz Walton, who was one of the earlier Paralympians. She won 10 gold medals, 2 silver, 5 bronze medals competing in wheelchair and 5 other sports. But she actually carried the flame from this armillary sphere to light the cauldron that's actually based here at Stoke Mandeville. So if you ever get the chance to come and visit us, please look out for that, because we're very proud of it. So ever since 2014, the Paralympic Summer and Winter Games, the torches have been lit here in Stoke Mandeville. So it was 2014, the Winter Games in Sochi, then 2016 Rio de Janeiro, 2018 the Pyeongchang Winter Paralympics in South Korea. It should have been this year for the Tokyo Games, but it's actually going to be next summer. So that'll be, it's because of the virus, and so the games were postponed until 2021. And then in early 2022, it's going to be the Winter Paralympics in Beijing. So we've got lots of exciting times coming. So you can see it's Christmas. I hope that you have a lovely Christmas, and I hope that you watch out for our other videos. I'll be talking about other things this Christmas from our collection here at the Paralympic Heritage Trust. So just wishing you well, and hope that Father Christmas brings you everything that you want. Thank you for listening, and see you soon. Bye-bye.